1 FM 90.
Hello, a very warm welcome. This is Spectrum on Radio 1. I'm your host, Edmond Kizito. On Spectrum tonight, the state of governance in Uganda. Ugandan youths being given space to manage the affairs of the country. What are their views? Uganda continues to grapple with many challenges linked to the way it was managed in the past and how it is being managed today. Many people quickly refer to the culture of political intolerance, corruption, abuse of the rule of law, tribalism and nepotism, development challenges such as unemployment, poverty, among others. Each time a discussion about the state of affairs in Uganda emerges, the youths constitute a big portion of the population and a sizable voting bloc in Uganda, and are thus very critical in shaping the destiny of the country. Despite this reality, many youths feel that they are not being given enough space in their respective political parties and at the national level to engage in managing the affairs of the country. Political pundits argue that there is a need for Ugandan youths to form a national front in disregard of their respective political parties in order to attain their aspirations. This is, however, not possible given the growing political divide in confrontational politics, with the youths being used by senior politicians to fight their own political battles. Observers argue that in order for Uganda to have a better future, the youths of today must be active in many aspects. But in order for them to be responsible and productive leaders, political parties need to groom them and then encourage a healthy succession. Now, unfortunately, political parties in Uganda seem not to be interested at all, and as a result, many young people are becoming leaders by accident or by circumstances that push them into politics, including unemployment. This is leading to the breeding of corrupt and a broadly misled cadre of leaders, often focusing on their own private agenda, oblivious of national interests. And so on Spectrum tonight, we ask, what are the major governance problems in Uganda today as seen by the youths? And now, considering these challenges, what role should the youths play in safeguarding the future of the country? Also, are the youths being given adequate space to display their leadership skills in Ugandan political parties? Our guests tonight, Mr. Robert Lutalo, Secretary General of the NRM Youth League, fresh from Kyankwanzi. You're most welcome, Mr. Lutalo.
Thank you. Good evening to you, dear listeners, all young people out there. Thank you for tuning in Spectrum.
We're also joined by Mr. Kijja, Coordinator at the Uganda National NGO Forum, also a member of the Black Monday Initiative. You're most welcome, Mr. Kijja.
Thank you so much, Edmond, and to Radio 1 for hosting us today.
We're also joined by Mr. Sakwa, National Youth Coordinator at the Uganda People's Congress. Twice in power, twice ousted. You're most welcome, Mr. Sakwa.
Thank you very much, Edmond. I'm glad to be on Radio 1 tonight, and best wishes to all young people out there.
Before we talk about young people, Mr. Kijja, could you talk to us a little bit about this Black Monday? Why do you want to make our Mondays black?
First, maybe I should explain why the color black. Because that is something which really quite everybody gets shocked by, that we are using black, and the number of people have presented arguments about black being an African color, and so we are racist and all sorts of things, which we obviously have some sort of good responses to. Now, black in an African context is used as a color of mourning. And essentially what we are saying, as civil society and as civic activists, as Ugandans interested in the betterment of governance of this country, we feel that a lot has gone down the drain because of theft of public resources. Because of theft of public money that is supposed to put medicine in hospitals, people have died. Because of theft of money that is supposed to cater for pregnant mothers, we lose 16 mothers on a daily basis. Because of theft of money that is supposed to construct roads in this country, on a daily basis, the accident rate is going high because of potholes, because of bad roads that are constructed poorly, or out of public servants and politicians that have received a kickback for roads to be for us to get half the value of the money that we put in road construction, and because of theft of public money that is supposed to be helping people in Karamoja, people in northern Uganda, and people in war-affected areas. People are dying on a daily basis because of hunger, because of disease, and because of so many other things that would have been avoided. So essentially, as civil society, we felt that we need to mourn for this country. And that is why we zeroed in on a color that is black. And we said that every Monday, Ugandans should mourn for this country. And so I'm mobilizing Ugandans en masse to join first one is to wear black, like I earlier indicated, on every Monday. The second one is to reject all acts of corruption, okay, and report all incidences of corruption to the police. At least I'm sure that much as the police has been rated highly in terms of being the most corrupt sometimes, we still have some Uganda-loving citizens in these police forces. And this I will elaborate further because of from my experience interacting with the police in the past about 3 days when they arrested some of our activists. The other action that we are calling upon every Ugandan to take is to shun all business entities, hotels, hotels, supermarkets that are owned by these corrupt officials, even nightclubs that are owned by the thieves. We need to shun them. And the final one is to make sure that we disassociate ourselves from these corrupt officials, from these thieves. For instance,
maybe we'll talk about that another time. Let's talk about the topic for tonight. Mr. Robert Lutalo, how relevant are the youths in Uganda's politics today?
Thank you, my brother Edmond. Maybe before I go to the topic of the day,
You want to talk about what?
Can you allow me? The colleagues just talked about the Black Monday and you know all that. And for me,
Black Monday, not Black Mamba. It's Black Monday. Go on.
Fine, it's Black Monday. For me, I think it's a question of approach, Edmond. We all agree corruption is a problem in our country, but how do you go about it? What's the best approach? How do we fight it? Are we going to solve corruption in Uganda or end corruption in Uganda by having Honorable Zach kneeling here and
let's talk about
coming on the streets?
Let's focus.
I think
You don't think it's
personally, I don't think that's the correct approach. There are far better approaches.
Let's talk about young people, the youth. How relevant are they in today's politics?
Well, thank you for that question. You introduced me rightly as the Secretary General of the NRM Youth League, and I've also been a guild president of Makerere University. I've been involved in student leadership at high level, and up to where I am today. Now, when we talk about youth in Uganda, I think we have a chance to say we have a chance of say in the leadership of this country. The government to which I belong, proudly, has endeavored a lot to make sure the youth are not left out. At least there is look at recently. Look at the reshuffles in the cabinet. All these new faces of the young people. This is look at Todong, look at Tumwebaze, look at the members of parliament representing the young people. So I think yes, it may not be the best representation or involvement that the youth deserve, given the fact that we are we form the largest number in the population, but at least it's sufficient. That's a good starting point. But of course, we can build on it. So, all in all, I think the youth in Uganda are well represented in the leadership and governance.
Are they leading by example?
Well, yes. I want to believe so. So far, of course, some for a few cases. Of course, you've heard of disciplinary cases. For example, my party, the NRM, and it's quite unfortunate that most of these people who are being looked at and who are investigated and who are being threatened with action and disciplinary, most of them are young people. That's I think the unfortunate bit. Some of these people have sent to represent us have unfortunately, I think diverted from what the young people ask them to do, and I think they are pushing their own interest or interest of other people. Some of them, but not generally. Some other people are definitely doing a good job to represent the young people.
Mr. Sakwa, what's your own analysis of the youth representation in Uganda's politics?
Thank you very much, Edmond. First of all, when we look at the youth constituency in this country, it is a constituency that is typically disaggregated. It is a constituency that plays an active role in the political and economic process of the country, but unfortunately, their rewards are at a very minimal level. That means that considering the issues, there are a compelling amount of thematic issues that affects the youth in this country. Issues of education, issues of unemployment, issues of HIV and AIDS, issues of so many of them. But looking at what is happening, their contribution specifically in the political, on the decision-making process is very minimal. Let it be in government, let it be in our political parties, let it be. Actually, our issues have continued to be the footnotes in the national debates, in the national parliament, in the in the political parties, and really they have continued to suffer from poverty, you know. So we cannot make a decision. We cannot take part or role in the political process in this country. Reason? Because our political interests have been compromised. And when I hear of my brother Lutalo, you know, Lutalo is my good friend, my land friend. I've been with him at the university. Correct. When you talk about youth representation in terms of economics, in terms of politics, we are still performing below average. The number that you've given, right, the problems of this world.
Can I have some information here?
No, I'm still building on that because you've mentioned it, so there's not much information because I'm busy with that.
The other ministers.
Yes. Sakwa, if you don't mind, it's not definitely true that the youth, we are not involved, that the youth, we are not rewarded sufficiently. First of all, maybe let him build this.
Okay, you'll get back to
yeah, because, you know, it's not just a question of selecting a few, those who are already economically empowered, and you cite as an example, so and so. We are looking at the youth in the rural constituency.
Have you looked at the police today? Have you looked at police officers today with the stars, 3 stars, 2 stars, and notion? Have you looked at those police? Have you looked at their age?
But now,
many of them are even younger than you.
We are not looking at the age. We are looking at their spectrum. I mean, the way represent across the country. They may be age, they may be very few, but they come from one region of the country. And is that that's a different question. We are looking at that. So our concern is we are looking at that rural youth. That one who never went probably far away to maybe in terms of education.
You're saying that they come from area. You think some of those youth come from, or most of them come from Karamoja, for instance. I'm only giving
the police officers come from Karamoja?
Yeah, but the records are there that one time even somebody, somewhere, recommended over 50 youth from where, if they want 100, and the certain section of authorities recommended 50 of them to be recruited from one region. Then how do you redefine that in terms of numerical strength from other regions? It is not possible. But all in all, these are young people who have got a role in this government. And I believe that as a matter of fact, there are issues that we need to redefine very critically to see that their role, or the political role of these young people, are put at a situation where they can actually play a very active role. Short of that, we're just wasting time because there are a compendium of issues. Look at, for instance, unemployment. Do you have where the jobs for the young people? I think we need to put something correct here.
We'll get the correction at some stage. Listeners, this is Spectrum on Radio 1 tonight. The state of governance in Uganda. Are Ugandan youths being given space to manage the affairs of the country? And what are their views? We have 3 of them tonight in the studio from totally different political persuasions. Mr. Robert Lutalo, Secretary General of the NRM Youth League. He came fresh from Kyankwanzi. Mr. Kijja, Coordinator of the Uganda National NGO Forum, also member of the Black Monday Initiative. He was talking to us a little bit about that. We'll ask him to give us a little bit more detail on that. Mr. Sakwa, National Youth Coordinator at the Uganda People's Congress. They have a tall tower in Kampala Road, which forms their party headquarters. They were in power twice.
Actually, they are another political party which has a
prison quarrel of the gun. But they keep going. They never lose hope. Mr. Kijja.
You can see everywhere, nowhere.
Mr. Kijja, what sectors do youth predominate? Are they in politics? Are they in business, education, civil society? Where do we find them if we want to find the youth actively?
I'm not sure when you ask which sectors do they predominate in terms of, because if you look at the education sector, for instance, you can see there's a large section of the youth that are probably going through the education system. But the question is, what kind of education are they receiving? Today I was discussing with somebody.
Play leadership?
Where
They
do they
are
play
more
leadership?
accommodated more.
Well, I can't really give.
Or do they find it easy to shine?
That is quite a difficult question for me to comment on now. But I want us to get back to the discussion we had earlier of are the youth really being given sufficient space to participate in the governance of this country? And for me, I need to say that on paper, probably yes. But practically, probably no. Because if you walk around the country, you will find so many youth just playing matatu, taking marijuana. The other day I was in Nachivuo looking for a bus to send some cargo up country, and I was amazed at the rate of sale of marijuana which is taking place. And we have a police that is looking on. Police officers are there standing by, and you see people taking marijuana. And if you look at the big challenge actually we have of the youth here is that Mr. Sakwa talked about them getting rewards at a lower level, okay? And for me, I feel that probably even their demands are quite of a lower level. So essentially, the youth need to scale up their demands.
What do you want them to demand?
So the youth currently are receiving all sorts of small handouts. They are giving them things like Youth Capital Venture Fund, which eventually they don't get. Okay?
No, that's a big
thing. Just give me time. I give you time and to.
Yeah, but that's a big thing.
So it is so big in your perspective. It is so big, but yeah. So we give them small handouts like Youth Capital Venture Fund, which eventually they don't get, and they put, because government puts a lot of stringent measures which actually make it impossible for them to get this money. If you look at the past 1 year of the NRM government in their 5th term, okay, and the money that was given for the youth to enterprise themselves, how much of that has actually been received by the youth? How many youth have accessed it? First of all, I believe that the policy is quite weak. It's flawed from inception, because you don't really empower people by giving them money. You empower people by giving them knowledge that is actually going to help them to be able to translate the skills that you've given them into things that can generate for them money. But also, following them, what should the youth do? Probably that is the question you're asking, because I feel that currently the youth constitute about 78% of Uganda's population.
Under
essentially
35.
Under 35. Now, of course, the likes of Todong and Tumobaze, that the gentleman from NRM is quoting as being the youth, which actually I think is quite unfortunate. People in that category, 35 and above. Okay, but for me, I feel that the youth need to realize that first of all, they constitute the majority of Uganda's population, and so Uganda lies, the future of Uganda actually lies in how much they are willing to play at this right time. Somebody was giving me an analogy of land that is leased. That a land lease is the value of the land lease is determined by how many years
it has left.
It is left with to expire, not by how many years
it has gone.
Exactly. So if you look at the youth right now and you compare them to the likes of Todong that he's talking about, the youth that we have currently, yourself, Mr. Lutalo, you have actually probably a larger lifespan than Mr. Todong. So you shouldn't leave the future of your country in Todong's life and start boasting, but the youth actually being given, okay, enough space.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Lutalo, talk to us about the areas where you think the NRM has not done well with regard to youth. Where are the gaps that need to be filled?
Very good, very good. Thank you very much, Edmond. But just before that, I need to correct some impression here, because I want to believe that my government, the NRM government in power today, has done quite well as far as emancipating and elevating the selves of the youth in Uganda is concerned. And whereas it's true, as my colleagues are saying, that the youth form the majority of Uganda's population, but also, in the same measure, I want to put it to them, that I mean, look at what the government is doing for the young people today. Look at the youth in the army, for instance. Look at the youth in the police, for instance. I just mentioned the Edmond, you must have observed this. Look at the youth in the parliament. Are we together here? Look at other programs government is bringing up for young people. Look at the youth venture, is it capital venture fund?
Venture capital.
The venture capital fund. We are talking about the youth, all here. I mean, that shows how much government values the young people and how much government is ready to help the young people.
And for me, that's I'm referring to.
And then the other interesting thing, Edmond, probably this one my colleagues are not aware. Government is in advanced stages to approve and implement the student loan scheme.
Yes.
The student loan scheme. So very soon, Sakwa, you and your brother, probably you're done in school, your others, brothers, and they're not going to do it. They're not going to settle school fees. They're going to be paid for by the government. And you've always seen these systems going on in developed countries. These systems are working in Europe. They're in your Holland, they're in UK, they're everywhere. And Uganda are bringing it. People study free university, not for free as I get loans, study, get jobs from government. And then
they pay back.
Yes, and then the other interesting bit, industrialization. We've had our president, even the Kyankwanzi, he was very emphatic on this. We need industries, we need investors. So but who do you think the president has in mind when he's talking investors? He's not thinking of Right Honorable Kazura.
He's in cabinet. He's not
thinking about General Medicine. He's not thinking about KK. He's thinking about me and Sakwa and my brother. The young people to work in the industries. So we talk about the president, that is good, yes, and we need to appreciate it. What needs to be done?
When you talk about the positive things that the government has done,
correct,
have they been structured so that you can be carried forward, or are they ad hoc?
No, of course they're not ad hoc. Like a colleague put it, that there's policies on paper. Of course, that's not true. That's not true. When you're talking about
structured, or are they handouts that could go tomorrow?
These are policies that are brought to stay. I mean, Edmond, we're not talking about youth venture capital fund for this year and then next year it's gone. No, that's why every year there is money coming.
Edmond, if I just ask a very practical question.
Yes.
What is the status of the Youth Capital Venture Fund now?
There is money in the banks.
Yeah, but why is it supposed to be in the bank? Your government is doing so well. 2 years, the Youth Capital Venture Fund is in the banks. And what is it?
No. It's not. No. I think I was misunderstood here, Edmond. The point I'm trying to make is that money is in banks and people are busy getting this money.
So who is getting it?
I've interacted with my minister, the Minister of Finance, when I was Veronica, and she has informed me with the proof. She knows how many I've received this money in the banks. People are busy. Even myself, I've got this one, for example.
How much did they give you? How much did they give you? For one person?
For me?
That's supposed to be for a group. You got more than the support. Mr. Sakwa, talk to us a little bit about
this. For my business.
Talk to us about whether you think this NRM, what they have done is structured. Do you think it can stay, or is it a whimsical thing?
Thank you very much. In relation to what we are discussing today, and
let's take a breather. We'll come back. We'll talk about that. You'll tell us what you think. You're convinced the NRM is doing the right thing. No, this is Spectrum on Radio 1. We're going for a break. We'll be back. Just stay tuned.
Uganda Communications Commission is currently conducting nationwide mandatory SIM card registration. Register your SIM card in a few easy steps. Visit your telecom operator's customer care center or any other designated registration center and provide your phone number, a copy of a valid ID or any other valid ID with accompanying photographs such as a passport, driver's permit, voter's card, or a letter from your LC. Information on your physical address or residence will also be required. SIM card registration protects mobile phone users from incidences of fraud, incitement, terrorism, and hate messages, among others. Please note that SIM card registration is mandatory, and those who fail to register risk having their SIM cards deactivated. The registration deadline is 1st March 2013. All information shall remain confidential. Let's make communication safe. Register your SIM card today.
Discover the new invigorating taste of Red Vodka Lemon. Red Vodka Lemon. Reinvent the night. Not for sale to persons under 18. Spectrum on Radio 1 FM 90.
Welcome back on Spectrum tonight. The state of governance in Uganda. Ugandan youth being given space to manage the affairs of the country. Also, what are their views? Our guest tonight, Mr. Robert Lutalo, Secretary General of the NRM Youth League, fresh from Kyankwanzi. You know what's been happening in Kyankwanzi. Lectures in the morning, lectures in the evening. At night, they do other things. Mr. Job Kijja, they go and relax and eat.
Exercises in the morning.
Exercise in the morning.
Yeah.
Mr. Job Kijja, coordinator of the Uganda National NGO Forum. I'm also a member of the Black Monday Initiative. He was talking to us about that a little bit earlier. Mr. Eric Sakwa, National Youth Coordinator at the Uganda's People's Congress. Talk to us, Mr. Sakwa. Has the NRM removed the troubles of the youth structurally? Do you think that could be taken away tomorrow?
Thank you very much. In relation to what we are talking today, and is more specific with the NRM government, the issues of youth, the way they have handled the issues of youth, as I said before, is below average, and that any effort aimed at reducing or making the youth get empowered in all sectors is still a dream in this government. Look at a series of thematic issues that can make a youth get empowered. Have we related unemployment? Where are the areas
in the world has zero now?
Yeah, but you know, Edmond, any country or any government that is in power, and I know unemployment is everywhere, but in an
UPC is everywhere. Go on.
Yeah, but UPC, if you look at the strategies, how it handled issues of youth, it's not, these people have totally failed. Because for us, we could not establish the capital venture fund like they're doing.
Why?
It's not necessary. What is necessary is create place. What is necessary is create, build more industries, to employ them. Why do you give me money to go and say, you give me 25 million, I'm not married. What if I put it in marriage? Now I have made something important. But put industries. When I finish my career, there is where I can start from, I can get a job.
You're speaking the language now.
No, that is not the language. No. You are saying you are based on capital venture fund. You are speaking based on publishing industry.
And if I may ask my
look at education. Empower them educationally. Where are the life skills? Where are the skills? Are we looking at just going in class and after class you come out to know job and all that? Where is your participation in decision making of this country? But not only political, but you look at even in economics. As we talk about, we've been told the likes of the the likes of those are the who are not actually youth. Those are the ones who they take around when they say, you know, youth are performing. But we are looking at a rural youth in Bududa. When there were people of Bududa who were affected by landslides, they were simply transferred to Kyankwanzi, to
some information.
When did they own land? Where did they own its capital? You know, these are issues that we need to look at. Okay. So when we look at what is happening today,
yes.
On a youth day, for instance, during the better government.
Also, they will give them bulls to receive the share.
Yes. No, on a youth day, or better could at least initiate or maybe open a vocational training institute. Rather than going to the Bible to just say and rap and
to be shown and sing.
The issue of the showing that is the different place.
Buses going from all over.
You've even mentioned it and you have mentioned it also. That's how we used to organize youth.
Right.
Because we used to organize them in a way that they engage in income generating activities that could help them get empowered economically. This is not what is happening today.
Do political parties give the youth ample space within their structures?
Well, Edmond, political parties and youth participation, I need to say that probably over time, in a way, the youth have managed to break through, and not because of the effort of the political parties. Not well, some might be. I can't really go take a case by case example, but all I want to say that my observation is that youth are actually struggling by themselves, and those that actually in a way are given any kind of space by the political parties, most of that space is not the space for them to really express themselves in the democratization of this country, but rather spaces for them to be used to get small handouts. Because if you look at the role that the youth usually play during elections, for instance, or during the electoral processes, it is violence. Okay, it is just really get these guys to go and beat the others, get these guys to go and make noise, get these guys to go and distribute money in different places, buy voters, and such sorts of things. And that is the kind of preoccupation that really the youth have had in most of these political parties, which is quite unfortunate. So going with that sort of analysis, for me, I would say that they are getting meaningful space. They are getting space, but not really that space that would be meaningful. And even those that really even struggle. When I was getting in here, I learned from somebody that my colleague here, Mr. Lutalo, was rigged out in the Yala elections. Oh. And then I was told by somebody, I can produce that somebody, but also I was told that, well, that could be just an assertion. And again, he was convinced not to contest in a certain constituency and all those sorts of things. Okay. So here is a youth who is really struggling for himself to come and occupy that political space, and here is a party that is telling him, no, you know, you wait. And I met another colleague, another gentleman in Kasese, whose name I will not mention here, who told me that one of the parties had given him money to not contest, okay? And up to now he's demanding them 2 years down the road.
What age should the youth get involved in? Should one get involved in politics? Sorry? At what age do you think someone should get involved in politics? National politics, especially.
In national politics, yes. For me, I feel that actually the youth should even start, because the youth, according to our classification, is an age between
18 to 35 or so.
No. Youth 18 to 35. I thought it was something like 16. Well, whatever. But for me, what I feel actually is that the youth need to start engaging in national politics even at an earlier level. Of course, the question is, should they engage in elective politics? Of course not, because unless the commission is amended.
National politics is elective politics.
Not really, not necessarily, because many of us participate in national politics, but not as political candidates or something like that. We play other roles in national politics.
But the problem...
Lutalo.
Yes, my brother.
Well, let's talk about vocational institutes. The NRM has not been very emphatic on that in the past. Cooperatives, they died under the NRM watch. Would this not have helped the youth get out of their structural poverty?
Of course, thank you very much, Edmond. Of course, these are good ideas. All of them, very good ideas. But, for instance, in Sakwa here, let's do something, honestly, which I feel I need to speak about. I mean, when we talk about youth, giving youth education, tell me, Sakwa's government, the UPC, was in power twice. You just rightly mentioned.
Yes, 10 years combined.
Exactly.
Roughly one third of what you people have been in power.
Well. But I mean, when you look at education and giving youth education, when you talk of the UPE today, when you talk of the youth SE today, universal secondary education, when you talk of the Southland scheme, did Sakwa's government do that? Or did they know these things exist? So honestly, let's learn to give credit where it's due. NRM has performed in these areas, has excelled in these areas, and Mr. Sakwa here and the party must appreciate what the NRM has done as far as educating the youth is concerned. Now, secondly, youth, the rural youth, which Ndogo is insisting on. What plans do we have for the rural youth? I think still we are delivering on that one. Through programs like nuts. But now the problem is what my brother just mentioned. You give somebody 25 million.
Yes.
Instead of putting this money to business, what they use for which he has gotten it, he goes to marry. That's when he remembers to take his girlfriend to Serena Hotel, where she has never been, to show off. This is money for business, and remember it's accumulating interest. Recently I read in the papers of a certain family.
We should stop giving it to them.
No. I think the thing is, people must know and appreciate government intervention in some of these things, not to abuse them. For instance, There is a family in somewhere, another just arrested. I think it was somewhere in Arua. It was all over the news. Whom they gave nice goats, and this family was looked at this goat, saying that it was a the party. No, some of these things, this government against this government, but let's take good advantage of them. So, should the youth engage in politics? Edmond, you just ask me. At what age? And at what age? Look at Alomite. I hope I mentioned that name right.
19 years old.
19 years old.
In the house.
In the house.
She could stay there 50 years and retire. She would still be 68.
What have you found lacking on that young lady? I'm very proud of her. What have you found lacking?
She dresses very well, at least I can tell you that.
And she's right upstairs. I mean, she presents very well. Sometimes she's even more effective on the floor of parliament, better than many of these so-called editors. So, the youth must engage in politics. This is the only way we are going to help ourselves. And you mentioned, Edmond, during your introductory brief,
yes,
that many youth in Uganda, or youth in Uganda become leaders or engaging by accident. At least I'm glad I'm not part of that kind of.
Oh, you are there by calling?
I'm there by calling. And I speak for many youth who are now in position of leadership by calling. When you look at all these ministers we have,
go on to your dream, my people.
Tell me that the is there by accident. No, it's not true. I hope the NRM government, we have tried
Mr.
to make sure young people are involved as much as possible.
I know some it's not that Mr. Sakwa is not nodding all the time. He's also agree with the NRM. They've done a great job for the youth.
No, not really. But in relation specifically to education, it is true that during the UPC government, we had a plan of establishing the UPE in 1969. And unfortunately, before we implemented it, government, took over government. But all in all, while putting up a strategy for providing education for all, UPE, USE, you need planning. You don't just turn up and you say, I've put UPE. You cannot put UPE program at the same time you are closing teacher training colleges. Now, who will teach these kids? Our plan, our national themselves. Then that's not education. We are just kidding around. We are romancing just things around. And that is not what we are supposed to do. As a government, you need to have a master plan that can enable the system to move. And this is where we had the plan. We said we had whatever to establish UPE, but let there be teacher training institutions to teach these kids. Secondly, let us build classrooms, because we cannot have a situation where kids will sit under a tree and be struck by lightning in case if it rains. We want to have scholastic material. Do they have books? You remember during that time there was what we call where institutions were getting scholastic materials like books. We were giving books for Tanzania. So that means even the quality of education. Edmond, I am very sure that at that time you needed not to come to Kampala to get quality education. You could start from Navumali. You could start from Morocco High. And then you come to Makerere. Yes. These days, when you want to get quality education, come to Kampala. Travel, come to Kampala. When you want to go to better medical facilities, come to Kampala. Even Kampala has become the center for everything. Which doctors are stationed here in Kampala? Even which doctors have come to the capital? Everything. They can't make money in the villages. They can't make money.
Why do you find gods to give them in Kampala?
No.
Normally they ask for gods
so,
for things.
In relation to that, Edmond, we are looking at a situation that you establish UPE or USE. It's not a bad idea at all. That is a very fantastic.
Very good. Very good. I like that.
But what is the quality of these people who are? This was UPE who can't even support their names.
They pass automatically. All of them
promoted to the next class. You go to Makerere, people study through rumors. There are no structures. You just sit under the window. Then you say, I want to Makerere. You want you just sit in the window.
on Radio 1. You can call in now. Our number 0414-348-111, 0312-260-390, 0312-226-1390. Education by rumors may be far from some of us. Hello? Yes, Mr. Munisimi.
But the issue of youth is celebration in Uganda because we need to youth. But the last thing can be done and get the rest when the balance and not stay tight. I want to assure you somebody is educated and stay tight. So if we don't sit down and form groups and form associations really to can center with the youth and make a very productive in the community, nothing will come, we will go to the youth. We have talked about the capital plan. How will it work when the youth are not centered? How is the youth implemented? Then how will they are going to work when the economy is solution as it has been existing? So that issue must be looked at and
Spectrum, hello? Hello? Yes, your name? Mr. Opio, yes?
Yeah, I'm a youth, and I'm talking with a lot of, I think I'm very disappointed. First of all, I'm going back from the media houses. Edmond, how many times have you people in the media house all young people to come and sit with the so-called amateur people to discuss issues in this country? I'll tell you, I was a good president in the Uganda University, and I think that I know, especially in the education, the people are suffering from, and I'd like to see happen. One of the so-called mature people, I'll tell them why I think the youth in this country have actually received a big one, and we cannot proceed. I think we've got a fundamental problem in this country that needs fundamental intervention and that needs the hand of change. I think the problem will not take up anywhere, but I think it all starts from sensitization, from giving everybody a platform to come to the station. If they want to solve the problem, why do all people want to fix our problems for us? That is just stupid.
All right. Mr. Opio, Spectrum, hello. Good evening. Your name?
To keep the youth out of politics because the leadership probably knows how dangerous they are. You consider the youth who have really put this parliament on fire, and of course you consider they're already cutting them down. But as we say that the youth have to really fight for the political space because it will not be given to them. Museveni was most vibrant when he was a youth. That is the time when he brought change. Yeah, that's the time when he joined resistance. But for him to make a decision, for example, for 30 years now, he can borrow money for the next election. He will not be there, but the youth will be there. So I think youth have to desperately fight for their space. And if the change has to come, it has to come from them at this point.
Spectrum, hello.
Good evening.
Good evening. Your name?
Yes, this is Stephen calling from Mongolia.
Stephen, yes?
The government has decided to support the youth because in area in public stuff like yes, to move them there so that we're going to see them being promoted at that level. Otherwise, the other sectors, I agree with the government of my cooking. Something with the Sakwa. And he has tried at least to consider it for happening everywhere there is physical, but in some sectors, so the government needs to support them more than it is to them, so we can see those ways. Many countries are there, they need their support. And if we support them anymore, it's probably the
All right.
It's a ministry from what they were able to
Spectrum, hello. Good evening. Your name?
My name is I was going to mention that my colleagues first of all, the issue of youth is very, very crucial. And when we are discussing the issue, we should not discuss them in a narrow of comparing UCC and NRM Forum. What we need now is to step out. Because when we look at institutions of Uganda today, what does it help the youth to come out as people who have skills what we need is now to work with all sectors, especially at the university level, at the special institutions, and also create more vocational institutes that can empower youth. So those who are in focus, they also need data, because some of them now, when you look at the thing, somebody will comment, some of them are very bad and so on. But you need to go to the know how to do this. You know, sometimes they are only going for popularity. You need now to measure people. People who can be best in trouble, because the future belongs to the youth. And the youth are the ones who are supposed to actually measure in trouble. Something like that, that can do better. Look at many people. And that's what we need. At the festival level, that's the factor. I want to ask you, what have you done for the youth?
Spectrum, hello. Okay, let's get straight back to the studio. Mr. Kijja.
Yeah, Edmond, for me I think there are quite a number of issues that of course have come from the phone calls, but also there are those things that we feel that are pertinent to the youth that they don't need to ignore. First is that there is a National Youth Manifesto which has 4 key issues.
Who made that manifesto? The NRM?
No, not really. The National Youth Manifesto was developed by a consortium of youth-related NGOs that really widely consulted, and of course spearheaded by the Ugandan Youth Network in conjunction with the Uganda Governance Monitoring Platform that did generate the Citizens Manifesto. And these 2 manifestos really actually bring out the issues that affect the youth on a daily basis, that any government that is willing to actually make the future of this country better for the youth that they are going to leave behind should focus on. And briefly, I really just want to summarize some of these things that the youth should actually focus on in the demand for a better quality youth, because at the moment we have a youth that is really of poor quality, a youth that wakes up and takes marijuana every day. There's an called genocide in this country, in that in the morning at 8 a.m. my office is just opposite a bar called the Posh Bar. At 8 a.m. you find youth just drunk, some of them are naked and they're doing all sorts of things.
At the weekends?
Not weekends, even tomorrow. If you wake up and you go to the Posh Bar at 8 a.m., you'll find the youth there, naked, fighting, drunk with alcohol, and many of them have really run mad because of alcohol genocide, and the government is looking on. Now for me, a number of things that I feel the youth really need to focus on. They need to make sure that they don't ignore the issue of corruption. Corruption is essentially the foundation for all problems that we have in this country, and it is eroding away the Ugandan society slowly by slowly. And that is why you see that we started the Black Monday movement, to make sure that we liberate this country from the scourge of corruption. People are stealing money in kilograms on a daily basis, okay? And who is getting affected? The youth that will not, the youth that are going to produce children tomorrow, and their children will find nothing because a few individuals stole everything. The second one is constitutional reforms that we really need to focus on to make sure that the governance of this country becomes better. Key to that is the issue of presidential term limits. The issue of presidential term limits is going to help us to actually get rid of the traffic jam that is at the top, that is making it extremely impossible for the youth to access positions of power that they are aspiring for. It is extremely impossible for us to have a youth president when Mr. Museveni, who is currently 75, I saw people celebrating his 75th birthday the other day.
Those were jokers.
I don't know.
8 years old.
68 years old, okay? There's no youth of the likes of Mr. Lutalo is going to become president of this country in the next 10 years when Mr. Museveni is still at the top. So that traffic jam that has been caused needs to be gotten rid of by reinstating presidential term limits. The other that I really want to talk about briefly is the issue of education. Education is what is going to liberate the youth from all the problems that they are facing now. A skillless youth is not going to be useful to this country. It is only a skilled youth that is actually going to be able to enterprise himself, set up a good business, sustain the business, even when they receive the 25 million from the Youth Capital Venture Fund. Those are the kinds of people that are actually going to put it to good use, for as long as they do not have skills. Because currently, if you look at the education system, which is generating 83% of youth on an annual basis that are unemployed, the manner in which it is structured currently, the youth are not going to get anything meaningful out of it.
Mr. Lutalo.
Thank you.
The traffic jam at the top. Have you resolved that in Kyankwanzi before you came?
Well.
Term limits to come back.
No, the issue of term limits.
You don't have to talk about. You don't have to talk about it. Talk about safer things. Go on.
But no. I can say something about it because I mean, yes, term limits were removed while the NRM government was in power, and this was a thing which was discussed thoroughly by the NRM leadership and approved, and I definitely have no problem with it. And whether or not have term limits is a constitutional matter to be handled by the members of parliament. Now, and of course the other thing now, traffic jam. What are we talking about? So, are we all in the truth? Are we all lying to be the president? Must all youth in Uganda be the president of Uganda so as to remove traffic jam? No, I think we can make a contribution to the government of Uganda in various ways. We don't all have to be present. We don't have to be present. So there's no traffic jam. And I think that no. Please let me make some points. What we need to do here. The caller from Mukono mentioned something very important.
Yes.
Corruption, Edmond, I agree with you, is a big problem in this country.
Is it?
We recognize and we appreciate it as the NRM people. We not separate.
That's the next election you're going to work on.
Not the next election, right now.
Really?
We are talking of people in prison. We are talking of, I mean, you know, I don't want to mention people's names here, but you know what we are doing. So I think, look at all these issues we are doing. Fighting corruption, we are doing it. But the young people and the youth might take part in this fight. Right. I agree with my brother,
Mr. Sakwa.
So that's a good.
How much corruption was there during the UPC days? Talk to us about that as you respond to the callers.
Almost to nil, because there is no single record in Uganda where money for people, money meant for people with the HIV or malaria, TB was misappropriated. And I'm very sure that we did very well in terms of health infrastructure. The hospitals, actually all of us who are here were either born in a hospital that was built by UPC or treated in a hospital built by UPC, because none of you, there is no hospital that was built by NRM where Mr. Lutalo was born in. If you were born of 1980, that means you were born in Itojo Hospital in Bushenyi or any other hospital. But what I know is that in a process of enhancing political participation of young people, of which of course UPC they are many excelled in this, the NOSU produced important leaders which NRM recruited, people like Rugunda, Mutevire, Kijja, even Museveni himself.
UPC Youth Wing.
Yeah, it was recruited for NRM. We provided the platform for you to engage in this, but unfortunately you will not manage it.
We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for appreciating, for not following probably, as I finalize, please, we need specifically to develop and promote a clearly articulated organization and ideological policy that can shape young people to effectively participate in the governance issues of this country.
Thank you very much. Mr. Robert Lutalo, Secretary General of the NRM Youth League, fresh from Kyankwanzi. Thank you very much for coming, Spectrum.
You're most welcome. Thank you, the listener.
Mr. Kijja, coordinator of the Uganda National NGO Forum, also member of the Black Monday Initiative. Thank you for coming, Spectrum. Mr. Eric Sakwa, National Youth Coordinator of the Uganda People's Congress.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in. I've been your host, Edmond. Kizito. Spectrum will be back tomorrow. Up next is the news in English.
My greatest music hit of all time? The first time I heard the electric guitar.